Well, lawmakers are now on a collision course over the investigation into President Biden's son Hunter's his business dealings. The House Oversight Committee releasing a new memo alleging bank records show Hunter Biden and his associates received millions of dollars from Russian and Kazakhstani oligarchs while his father was vice president at the time, and that then vice president also dined with two of the oligarchs himself and a Burisma representative. The House GOP says they've now identified $20 million in foreign payments to the Biden family and associates, also grandchildren. But Democrats say it shows no evidence of any wrongdoing by President Biden directly or that he was involved in his son's dealings. Joining us now is Emily Brooks, writer and congressional reporter for The Hill. Emily, good to have you on. This certainly doesn't seem good for the Bidens. I mean, how damaging is this, particularly for President Biden and his 2024 hopes?
Well, this report really goes into more detail and documents more some of these instances of business transactions that were already known between Hunter Biden and his former associate Devin Archer. Validates some of those. These are all based off of bank records that the House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed from banks. But what the House Oversight Committee has not done yet is subpoena records from Biden family members directly and their personal bank accounts. And so that's a little bit of a tease in this report that perhaps that could be coming in the future, although the committee has not taken that step yet. But the most interesting part of this report is really pushing back at a lot of the arguments from the White House and Democrats that Republicans have not been able to show any direct connection or payments to President Biden himself. And this memo is really saying, well, you don't have to show direct payments to President Biden in order to demonstrate corruption. And so that is really a hint here of where Republicans could be going as they start hinting at potential impeachment inquiries over this issue.
Okay, so no evidence of direct payment to, at that time, Vice President Joe Biden. But the bank records, as we mentioned, show the payments of up to $20 million to 10 members of the family, including grandkids. I understand there's no direct tie to President Biden at this time, but is there any evidence of government policy being changed or altered as a result of these payments during that time frame?
Republicans are not directly alleging that any policies were changed or altered because of these payments, but there are alluding to some things. There was a Russian oligarch who was in business investing in a company that Devin Archer, that Hunter Biden associate, had. The House Oversight Committee has, trying to show some connections between that bank account and Hunter Biden and that connection there, although there is some dispute. But that Russian oligarch was at a dinner with President Biden and Devin Archer and Hunter Biden and some others after that millions of dollars payment was made. And this report also notes that this Russian oligarch was not on a sanctions list that the Biden administration released after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And so insinuating a connection here, but not directly saying that. Of course, the White House is saying that there is no connection there.
All right. And Emily, just one more quick question. I only have a few seconds left. We obviously saw President Trump have to turn over his tax returns to a House panel. Do you think we'll have to see President Biden turn over bank statements? I know Kevin McCarthy has called for this.
Well, I think that would result in a very lengthy legal battle, very heated. I think that if we do see the House Republicans going after some bank records of Biden family members, they would probably go after Hunter Biden, President Biden's brother first, and some of those associates rather than directly to the president, because that raises a lot of whole other legal questions. And so that's where I think we would probably see some action.
All right, Emily Brooks, writer and congressional reporter for The Hill. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.